The Grand Caymans are located 250 miles southwest of Cuba. The islands are located in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Grand Caymans is probably the most well-known diving destination in the Caribbean. They have a new slogan, Dive 365, which actually means they now host a total of 365 dive sites on the island. Nowhere else in the Caribbean has this been done. The Doc Polson was purposely sunk in the western part of the Grand Caymans. The ship was originally a Japanese cable-laying vessel. Now it's used to create an artificial reef on 7 Mile Beach. The wreck is named for Doc Polson, who also helped set up the first hyperbaric chamber on the Grand Caymans for the treatment of decompression sickness. The wreck sits upright in 50 to 60 feet of water. The Grand Caymans were not originally called the Grand Caymans. On May 10, 1503, Christopher Columbus named the islands Las Tortugas after the numerous sea turtles seen swimming in the surrounding waters. By 1530, the islands were known as the Caymans, after the Carib word cayman, or the marine crocodile that lived here. While the crocodiles are all gone, the turtles still can be found throughout the islands. Here a hawksbill sea turtle is found eating his favorite meal, a sponge, but never too far away are the gray angelfish, waiting for pieces of the sponge to drift away from the turtle. Hawksbill sea turtles are very common in the Caribbean. The other species found on the island are the leatherbacks and the green sea turtles. Caribbean reef squid have been shown to communicate using a variety of color, shape, and texture changes. Squid are capable of rapid changes in skin color and pattern through nervous control of chromatophores. In addition to camouflage and appearing larger in the face of a threat, squids use color, patterns, and flashing to communicate with one another in various courtship rituals. Caribbean reef squid can also send one message via color patterns to the squid on the right, while sending another message to the squid on the left. Just off the Sunset House Reef stands a 9-foot-tall, 600-pound bronze mermaid statue named Amphitrite, which now rests in 55 feet of water. The sculpture, created by a Canadian artist known as Simon Morris, officially named her Amphitrite, Siren of Sunset Reef. According to Greek folklore, Amphitrite was the queen of the seas, married to Poseidon. Just down the reef from the Mermaid of the Sea lies the David Nicholson shipwreck. Sunk in 1990, only 300 yards off the Sunset House shores, the 70-foot-long landing craft is home to a couple of gray angelfish and one mutton snapper. As soon as you come within sight of the shipwreck, they turn into the welcoming committee. They meet you about halfway to the wreck, and they will not leave your side until you swim away. These guys are very territorial. The fish especially don't like the divers just hanging out in their environment. They will come up to the divers and nip at them from time to time, just to remind the diver, they don't want you here. Normally, fish swim away when divers are present. These guys, they're not going anywhere. The Grand Caymans are loaded with dozens of great dive sites. One of my personal favorites is Eden's Rock and Devil's Grotto. They lie just a few hundred yards from one another. The two dive sites are very similar in appearance. Lots of overhangs and caves line the dive site, but depending on the time of year you go, you could be in for a special treat. Twice a year, the silversides make the Grand Caymans their home before traveling back out to sea. At peak times in the Grand Caymans, the schools can completely fill the caverns, as the divers not only descend beneath the waves, but then also onto another living liquid of millions of fish. As you scuba dive and fin forward, the school parts in front of you, then engulfs you in a bubble of clear water, entirely symmetrically encircled by fish. Scorpion fish are ambush predators and masters of camouflage. A venomous scorpion fish lies patiently on a coral reef, its body blending in perfectly with its surroundings. There are many must-do dive sites in the Grand Caymans, but Stingray City would definitely be on the list. Billed as the best 12-foot dive on the planet, Stingray City doesn't disappoint. Stingray City is in the shallow waters off the northwest corner of the Grand Caymans, known as North Sound. It's just inside a natural channel that passes through the barrier reef and consists of a string of sandbars crossing the North Sound from Morgan Harbor to Rum Point. It may be that the stingrays began gathering in the areas decades ago when fishermen returned from an excursion, navigated behind a reef into the sound, and cleaned their fish in calm waters of the shallows and the sandbar. The fish guts were thrown overboard, and the stingrays eventually congregated to feast on the discarded guts. Soon the stingrays associated the sound of a boat engine noise with food. As this practice turned into tradition, divers realized the stingrays could be fed by hand. Today, tour and excursion boats gather at Stingray City in large numbers. Passengers disembark and enter the water to interact with the stingrays. The boat's proprietors bring along with them pails of chunked up squid meat, which they dispense by hand to the animals, thus attracting dozens of other creatures in the feeding spot. On average, Stingray City sees anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 visitors a day. The stingrays are very curious, always looking for who has some of their favorite food: squid. Usually when divers come close to any of the sea creatures, the creatures usually take off and they go the opposite direction. But not here. The stingrays will let you touch them and pet them like a dog. The USS Kittiwake is a Chanticleer-class submarine rescue ship. It was launched in July 10, 1945, and commissioned as the USS Kittiwake. She was decommissioned and struck from the Naval Register September 30, 1994. She was sank January 5th of 2011. The location of the sinking is at the northern end of 7 Mile Beach. She has a steel hull, steel superstructure that has 18 bulkheads, a single screw propeller made of solid brass. The primary mission of the Kittiwake was to rescue sailors from downed submarines. She was very much a diving vessel. Many of her stories are still locked away as classified. Over 50 years, she has many stories to tell, from submarine rescues to salvage operations. Her most memorable call of duty in recent times was the recovery of the black box from the Challenger space shuttle disaster. The USS Kittiwake is 251 feet long and stands 47 feet tall. There are 5 decks on the Kittiwake. Externally, the crow's nest and mast had been cut down and remounted to make her height suitable for the Cayman waters. The upper decks accommodate 2 bridges, along with a radio and navigation room. The Kittiwake has been opened up with large access holes, both vertically and horizontally, to provide safe, easy access to virtually every space on the ship. The ship has been equipped with 2 hyperbaric chambers, which divers can enter. Once inside the chamber, you can stand up into a bubble of air that has been trapped inside the vessel. The Grand Caymans has their 365 dive program in full effect. One thing is for certain, the Grand Caymans are loaded with plenty of unique dive sites. You can find whatever you're looking for here, from wrecks to walls and everything in between. The Grand Caymans has many choices for every diver's needs.